Welcome to the deep dive. We're all about getting you that knowledge quickly, but also thoroughly. Today, we're really digging into a key moment for a religious group back in the 1830s. We'll be using Doctrine and Covenants sections 115 through 120 as our guide. It's a time when this community was, well, full of hope, but also dealing with some pretty serious internal stuff.
That's right. We're talking about late 1830s. This group, the Saints, they just set up a new gathering place in far west Missouri. And there was this real feeling of optimism, especially after the tough times they'd had in Independence and then Kirtland.
Yeah, leaving Kirtland and their temple there. That must have been a massive blow, emotionally, spiritually.
Absolutely. A huge undertaking left behind.
So you can imagine the energy. Starting over in far west, the sources paint a picture of rapid growth, real promise in this new place. Plus, it was near Adam Undi Ammon, which held like deep historical and prophetic meaning for them.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets, well, complicated. It wasn't just outside pressure this time. They were facing major disagreements, dissent inside the community.
Yeah, even involving some really prominent members, apostles even.
Right, within the quorum of the 12 apostles.
And that internal friction, that's so crucial to understanding this period. It wasn't just, a united front against the world. There were real divisions. People were likely doing a lot of soul searching about their beliefs, their loyalties.
That's a great point. How do they hold it together? So our mission today, really, is to see how they navigated all the hope, the loss, the internal strife. How do they move forward? We're going to focus on the principles revealed right then in these specific sections, 115 to 120.
These revelations give us a window into their priorities, the direction they were getting.
We'll look at things like why the church's name was so important to them, this idea of Zion and its stakes being places of refuge.
The meaning of sacrifice, which comes up again and again.
And the introduction of tithing as a formal law.
Right. Okay, so where should we start? Maybe with the name. It seems basic, but clearly it wasn't to them.
Exactly. Let's dive into that. Doctrine and Covenants 115, verses 3 through 6.
Yeah, these verses really hammer home the significance of the name. Even modern leaders like President Russell M. Nelson have emphasized it, calling it a matter of great importance.
So you have to ask why. What's actually in a name that makes it so vital, especially for a church at this particular time?
Well, if you look closely at verses 4 to 6 in section 115, it's clear the name wasn't just a label. It seems deeply tied to their identity, their mission, what they felt God wanted them to do.
So that specific name, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, what's the connection between that name and the actual work they were undertaking?
Well, think about it. It spells out their core beliefs right there. Focus on Jesus Christ. Check. Belief in a latter-day restoration. Check. Identifying as saints, followers dedicated to God. Check.
Okay, so it's defining them.
Exactly. And in a time with internal disagreements, having that clear, divinely given name reinforces the foundation they all shared. It's like a banner to rally under, maybe.
That makes a lot of sense, like reminding everyone what they've fundamentally agreed on.
Right. And this isn't unique here. If you look elsewhere in their scriptures, like 3 Nephi chapter 27, you see Jesus himself emphasizing the importance of the church bearing his name.
So it's a recurring theme. The name matters because it points to the source of authority and the central figure.
Precisely. It's divinely directed, not just something they picked.
Okay, that really clarifies the significance. Now, sticking with section 115, there's this powerful imagery about Zion and its stakes being a refuge from the storm.
Yeah.
Verses 5 and 6.
Oh, absolutely. That idea of refuge. Imagine how that must have landed with people who had already been driven from their homes, maybe more than once.
Yeah, after Kirtland, after Independence.
The idea that Zion and these organized communities within it, the stakes, could be a sanctuary, that would offer immense comfort and purpose.
And these stakes, they weren't just points on a map, right? They were organized communities.
Exactly. With leadership, structure, meant to be centers of support, both spiritually and temporally. They're literally the stakes holding up the tent of Zion, metaphorically speaking.
It's practical and spiritual refuge.
Right. But it's not passive, is it?
No, that's what struck me too. Scripture says members should arise and shine forth, be a standard for the nations. It's not just about hiding from the storm, it's about being a light in the storm.
A beacon.
So as you're listening, maybe think about that. What does it mean for you that the Lord wants his followers to be a standard, a light? And what kind of spiritual storms do you see today? How does gathering, being part of a community, offer that refuge verse 6 talks about?
It really brings it home, doesn't it? How do we today help create that refuge For ourselves, for others.
It makes me think of that hymn, Brightly Beams Our Father's Mercy.
Yes, that's exactly the idea, being that lower light, helping others find their way.
That theme of helping, of giving, it leads us straight into the next section, doesn't it? Section 117 and the idea of sacrifice.
hmm And the sources here ask us to really consider the story of Newell K. Whitney and his wife, Elizabeth. They were asked to leave Kirtland, where they were apparently quite prosperous.
Yeah, just pause on that for a second. Imagine being comfortable, established, and then being asked to just leave it all again.
It's a profound request. So when you read Doctrine and Covenants 117 verses 1 through 11, knowing their situation, what jumps out? What might have helped them make that leap of faith?
Well, the verses talk about what's really valuable, right? Not the drop, the temporary things, but focusing on the weightier matters.
And God knowing their hearts, an eternal perspective. It suggests the sacrifices we make for him have this deeper value that outweighs the immediate loss.
It really makes you reflect on your own life, doesn't it? The sacrifices you make, maybe they aren't leaving everything behind physically, they still cost something. And what does this tell us about God? That he sees our efforts, that he values our willingness.
Definitely. And then there's the contrast with Oliver Granger. His sacrifice was different.
Right, he was asked to stay in Kirtland, to sort out the church's finances there, which was apparently a really difficult, messy job.
And by many accounts, he wasn't entirely successful. In worldly terms, there were debts, complications.
But look at verses 12 through 15 in section 117. The Lord praises him, says his sacrifice is sacred, his name will be remembered.
It's powerful. How did those words apply to things you've been asked to do, where maybe the results weren't obvious or didn't look like success from the outside?
Sometimes it's just about the faithfulness in doing it, isn't it? Regardless of the outcome.
Exactly. One involves leaving, one involves staying. But both are called sacred sacrifices. The commitment is what seems to matter most to God.
And for more context on Oliver Granger's specific situation, that Revelations in Context essay Far West and Adam on Diamond is really helpful. It shows the difficulties he faced.
It really underscores that sacrifice isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet persistence.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit, though it's still related to giving and consecration. Let's talk tithing. Sections 119 and 120.
Right. Section 119, verse 4, gives that clear definition. 1/10 of all their interest annually, which we generally understand today as income.
Seems straightforward financially, but there's clearly more to it spiritually, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. Verse 6 of section 119 is quite striking. It says tithing is meant to sanctify the land of Zion.
And even more, that without this law, it should not be a land of Zion unto you.
Wow. That directly links this practice to the very nature of Zion. It's not just about funding, it's about sanctification.
So think about this. How could paying tithing contribute to your own sanctification, your own preparation for, let's say, a personal Zion? It's not just about the community, it's individual too.
That's a deep question. And it leads to the practical side. Okay, so where does the money go? How is it used?
Section 120 touches on that. It says the use of tithing is directed by a council, the first presidency, the quorum of the 12, the presiding bishopric.
And it emphasizes that this direction comes by mine own voice unto them, meaning the Lord's voice. There's a sense of divine oversight.
Yeah, that phrase really stands out. By mine own voice.
Elder David A. Bednar, in a talk called The Windows of Heaven, really unpacked this well.
Right. He talked about who decides how it's used, what it's used for.
Building temples, churches, funding missionary work, education, welfare, all those things that build up the church worldwide.
And he also focused on the blessings, not just temporal blessings, but specifically how paying tithing strengthens your relationship with God, your trust in him.
Exactly. It's an act of faith, and like any act of faith, it fosters that connection. Elder Bednar actually invited listeners to really ponder these things.
Yeah, he didn't just state it. He invited personal reflection on how it works in your life.
Which then makes you think, okay, how could you help someone else maybe strengthen their faith in this principle? Not by pressure, but maybe by sharing understanding or perspective.
That's a good point. And for those wanting more scriptural background, Malachi 3 is the classic reference, verses 8 through 12.
And again, Revelations in Context has a piece called The Tithing of My People that gives great historical background on this specific revelation in 1838.
Good resources. And the sources we looked at even mentioned the practical side. You know, how to actually do it with online tools or the little slips.
Which is important. Faith leads to action, and knowing the how helps people take that step.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into sections 115 to 120, let's just quickly recap.
We've seen the crucial role of the church's name in defining identity and purpose.
The powerful idea of Zion and its stakes, offering refuge, but also demanding that members be a light.
The deep, sacred meaning of sacrifice, whether it's leaving or staying, big or small.
And the law of tithing, not just as funding, but as a principle tied to sanctification and directed by God.
These were the principles guiding the saints through a really complex time of hope and hardship in Far West.
And for you listening, hoping for knowledge that's both quick and deep. These aren't just historical points. They offer, I think, real perspective on navigating our own challenges, building community, finding meaning through faith.
Absolutely. They speak to very universal experiences.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Consider how even small acts of faith, small sacrifices you make, might have effects you don't immediately see. Think about those saints in Far West, trying to build something lasting amidst all the turmoil. What storms are you seeking refuge from today?
And what seemingly small sacrifices in your life might actually hold profound significance, opening doors to growth and connection you hadn't expected? Something to think about.